Have you ever stopped to think about how interconnected our world truly is? How a single decision, made in a gilded office thousands of miles away, can determine whether a factory worker in Louisiana keeps her job or a farmer in Latin America can feed his family? This isn't just a philosophical question. It is the stark reality we face today, on this day, July 18, 2025. The actions of one leader, former and potentially future U.S. President Donald Trump, are casting a long, ominous shadow over the entire global economy. We are standing at a precipice, and the choices made in Washington, D.C. could very well push us all into a global recession. It's a story of power, of policy, and of the profound consequences that ripple outwards, touching every single one of us in ways we might not yet fully comprehend. The concept is often called the butterfly effect. A butterfly flaps its wings in Brazil, and it sets off a tornado in Texas. In global economics, this is not a metaphor, it is a mechanism. When the world's largest economy decides to fundamentally rewrite the rules of international trade, it doesn't just create a splash, it unleashes a tsunami. The policies being proposed and implemented under Donald Trump's New America First agenda are not minor adjustments. They represent a seismic shift, a deliberate move away from decades of global cooperation towards a more isolationist, confrontational stance. And like any major earthquake, the aftershocks are threatening to destabilize economies far beyond America's shores, creating a climate of uncertainty that chills investment and stalls growth. We must ask ourselves a simple, yet profoundly important question. Who pays the price for such monumental decisions? Is it the politicians who craft these policies from behind their mahogany desks? Or is it the ordinary citizen, the small business owner, the recent graduate just entering the workforce with hope and aspiration? The answer, as history has repeatedly shown us, is tragically clear. The burden falls heaviest on those least equipped to bear it. The ripple effects of these trade wars are not just felt in stock market tickers and GDP reports. They are felt in the rising cost of everyday goods, in the anxiety of job insecurity, and in the dimming of economic prospects for an entire generation of young professionals across the globe. This is not a story about abstract economic theories or complex financial jargon. This is a story about people. It's about the German auto worker whose overtime hours are cut because car exports to the US have plummeted. It is about the Indian IT professional in Bengaluru, whose project is suddenly put on hold due to American corporate belt-tightening. It is about the Brazilian farmer watching the price for his soybeans collapse because of retaliatory tariffs from China. The decisions of one leader are setting in motion a chain reaction, a domino effect that threatens to topple economies one by one. Understanding this connection is the first, most crucial step towards confronting the challenge that lies before us all. So what exactly are these policies that have economists and world leaders so deeply concerned? At the heart of Donald Trump's new trade strategy is a weapon that is both simple and devastating: the tariff. Think of a tariff as a tax imposed on goods imported from other countries. The new U.S. policies are not just surgical strikes, they are a full-scale bombardment. We are witnessing the proposal and implementation of a staggering 10% universal baseline tariff on all goods entering the United States, regardless of their country of origin. This is a dramatic departure from the targeted tariffs of his previous term. It is a blanket measure that treats allies and adversaries alike, creating a wall of economic hostility around the American market. But the assault doesn't stop there. Beyond the universal 10% tariff, the Trump administration has unleashed even more punitive measures against specific nations, most notably China. The proposed tariffs on Chinese goods are as high as 60%. A figure that is almost unheard of in modern economic history. This isn't a negotiation tactic, it is a declaration of economic war. The goal, as stated by the administration, is to punish what they see as unfair trade practices and bring manufacturing jobs back to America. However, the scale of these tariffs is so immense that they risk completely severing the intricate supply chains that have been built over decades. The very chains that keep our global economy functioning and our consumer prices stable. Let's put this into perspective. For years, the global economy has operated on a system of complex, interconnected supply chains. A smartphone, for instance, might have its microchips designed in the United States, its screen manufactured in South Korea, its battery produced in China, and finally be assembled in Vietnam. Trump's tariffs throw a giant wrench into this finely tuned machine. Suddenly, every component crossing a border into the US becomes more expensive. This doesn't just affect the final price of a phone for an American consumer. It disrupts the entire ecosystem of manufacturers and workers across Asia and the rest of the world who depend on this seamless flow of goods. The sheer audacity of these policies is what sets them apart. We are not talking about small, incremental changes. We are talking about a fundamental reshaping of the global trade landscape, executed with the subtlety of a sledgehammer. The targets are vast, and the scope is unprecedented. From European cars to Indian textiles, from Latin American agricultural products to Southeast Asian electronics, virtually no corner of the global economy is left untouched. This tariff tsunami threatens to swamp industries, erode corporate profits, and, most importantly, pass on a mountain of new costs to consumers, creating the perfect storm for a worldwide economic downturn. When the experts who dedicate their lives to understanding our economy all sound the alarm, we should pay attention. Today, economists everywhere are raising the same red flag. Their message is simple: danger is ahead. The consensus is overwhelming and deeply troubling. Respected institutions, from think tanks to top universities, agree these new tariffs are a brake on the world economy. The Peterson Institute warns a trade war this size could shrink global GDP by a full percentage point or more. That may sound small, but it means trillions of dollars lost, real pain for real people. The impact isn't just numbers on a screen, it's jobs lost, businesses closed, families struggling. Groups like the Tax Foundation and Oxford Economics predict these tariffs will hit household incomes hard. For many, it will feel like a sudden tax hike, wiping out wage gains and shrinking what families can afford. When people spend less, businesses cut back. The cycle feeds on itself, deepening the downturn. Experts warn the promise of bringing jobs back is a dangerous illusion. A few sectors might see a brief boost, but overall, these tariffs will destroy more jobs than they create. Higher costs for materials will make American manufacturing less competitive, not more. Retaliatory tariffs from other countries will hit US exports, farmers, tech, and more. The result? Higher unemployment, lower wages, the opposite of what was promised. The most urgent warning: we risk a hard landing, a sudden severe recession. These tariffs could be the spark that pushes a fragile global economy over the edge. By disrupting trade, shaking markets, and crushing confidence, these policies create a perfect storm. The message from economists is clear and urgent. We are tampering with the engine of global prosperity. The consequences could be catastrophic for everyone.